or is it only the screen? The first three people, that would be. Oh, there's three of us now. Yeah, for now, unless who was the third? Who was the first person? That would have been Dave, I think. Who has the camera on? Right. All right, we're live.
All right.
Hey, we're live. Anthony, hey, good to see you.
Yes, thank you for having me. Really excited to be here. Thank you for the invite. Really exciting stuff. We're collaborating, Illinois and Wisconsin a little bit today.
Yes, we're not playing baseball today, thank God. All right. So welcome everybody who's here. We're live streaming this as well. We had a lot of people who RSVP'd to come, and very likely is so that they can just get the link and watch it later. That seems to be the way of the world with remote. You don't have to actually be there anymore. But as you say, when you're here live, you get to participate, you get to ask questions, you get to partake in whatever goodies that might follow afterwards, and of course the famous show. So anyways, it's our Power Platform user group is meeting again. Let me go ahead and slip the screen over here. We have a guest host today. Craig is away. Anthony is at play. Anthony, introduce yourself.
Sure thing. Thank you for the invite again. Really excited to be here. My name is Anthony Escobedo. I'm a technical architect, so I do consulting as well. Actually, Craig and I, we spent some time together, about a year, together, and he actually showed me the ropes on a lot of things. So really excited to have his invite, had that come through. So again, I focus more on like the SharePoint, the OneDrive, the Teams, the collaboration side of things, but also I would say my primary focus for the last, I don't know, about a little bit over a year now has been the Power Platform. Primarily, I really haven't really done much outside of that. I still keep touch, like there's Microsoft Viva and things like that are coming out. I'm sure that we all are really excited to see more of that. But Power Platform, today we're going to talk about some updates, and that's going to be really exciting to talk about, where that's taking us and how far that's come along.
Hey, there we go. Thank you, Anthony. Oh, so by the way, Anthony he was spent time with Craig. He didn't do time with Craig. Different situations. So let's make that very clear.
You do have to make that clear, I guess, when you're in Chicago. I don't know if you do.
Absolutely. In Chicago, we got to make it clear. So you're either doing time, you're spending time. There's a distinction.
I like that. Right.
So, anyways, Ralph Rivas. I'm with Sajetti these days. Again, another ex-Craig location. Craig's been everywhere. Jeez, he's worked with everybody. I think Craig knows everybody.
He does.
Seriously, that man should just simply be. Like you ever see those like it's like the Forrest Gump where he's like in every scene and every place going over. That would be Craig. He'd be like, wow, he's just like the 6 degrees of Craig. But anyways, so Ralph in Sajetti, I am a solutions architect also, in a bit of a different role from where I was not too long ago. And lately, my focus has been Power Platform like no one's business. Even though I'm a developer, I do the M365 stuff. I do all those pieces as well. I'm a consultant and sort of not more advisory these days than anything else, looking after other consultants, trying to get the word out. But the Power Platform now is not exactly the bread and butter. What's the word I'm looking for? It's become near and dear to heart because it is essentially what I was when I started. I did Excel long time ago, the original low-code platform, they would say. And all of a sudden, full circle, here I am again today. Except back then, that's when Bill Gates was left at the booth of the trade show. But now, of course, Bill is left at the booth again, but for a different reason. All right, are we live on the internet? Yeah, we're going to get in trouble. Just let me get in trouble. Don't worry about it. All right. So anyway, that's myself for now. I'm here in Chicago. We'd like to see what we usually do is for the folks that are here live, we give them the pleasure of introducing themselves and let us know who they are, what they're here doing, maybe anything else, any kind of introduction you'd like, and introduce yourselves if you don't mind. As long as you're not in witness protection, you'll be fine. Let's start with my list. I'm going to go top to the right from my side, I have Hal. Hal, would you care to unmute and introduce yourself? You may turn on your videos if you wish. Hal's on mute. Maybe let's hold on to Hal. Oh, wait, we got. Here we go. We have Autumn. Let's go. Let's just start with Autumn.
All right.
We just.
I'm Autumn in Iowa. We pretend to be in Chicago to be relevant. I work at Integrated DNA Technologies, and I am in a development role, mostly with the Power Platform, largely Power Apps and Power Automate.
Wow. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Autumn. Is there anything you're looking forward to in this particular session today, or just here to
in the time that I've been coming to these sessions, I have learned something every single month. So I'm always excited.
All right. If you don't mind, please sign this release. We're going to use that snippet for our next marketing campaign. All right. Thank you. Let's see. So that was Autumn. Anyone else care to volunteer to come up? I'm not going to call it on the order if there's anyone who'd like to go. I know Dave was on here for just a moment. Oh, no, there we go. Jim. We got Jim.
I can jump in.
Jim,
hi, everyone.
say hi.
Jim Setman. I'm with Walgreens in Deerfield, Illinois. I've been with this meetup group for roughly 2 years, and that's about as long as I've been with Walgreens, and that's about as long as I've been with the Power Platform.
Wow.
So I focus on Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power BI. And I learn something new every time I come out here. So I'm very interested in what we cover today. And there's always a lot of cool tidbits that get thrown in along the way. Ralph is full of those. So it's always good to kind of hear what's going on and what's the latest and greatest with the Power Platform.
Indeed, I'm definitely full of stuff. That's for sure. Thank you, Jim.
Full of something.
Yeah, full of something. All right, thank you, Jim. Dave's on. Dave was one of the first people on.
Yeah, sure. I just live actually north of Chicago, so I'm about 30 minutes from Wisconsin, so still in the North Chicago suburbs. I have a technical leadership role for a company based out of Omaha, Nebraska. I spend a lot of time in Azure and M365, and I'm trying to learn more about the Power Platform. So that is why I'm here.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you, Dave. Anyone else care to volunteer to come up? Again, you don't have to bring your video. You can just come off mute. We will hear you.
Hi, this is Mikey Swire. I work for Harper College. I'm more on the M365 side of the house, though dabble on the Power Platform. Though also I kind of oversee the entire environment, so I kind of need to know what those developers may be playing with a little bit.
Oh boy, somebody needs a center of excellence, kid. Just wondering. Keep track of those developers. Okay, great. Thank you, Mike. Who else? Who is? Let's see. Diane just joined us. Really, Diana. We're introducing ourselves. We're saying hi. You don't have to show your video. You can just say hi.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I am Diana. I am very new to the Power Apps platform. I actually had not heard of it until I saw a job opening at a company here in the Chicago area. And so they asked me to build something. I did. They offered me the job, and so I'm just sort of learning as I go.
Wow. So you did it, and they're like, "That's it. You got a job." Whoa. That's like being discovered in Hollywood, sort of.
Yeah, actually, the recruiter saw me on an online job, like online job fair, and we didn't meet at the time, but she reached out to me afterwards, and she said, "If you're willing to learn this platform and build this thing and present it, we're looking to hire somebody." So they gave me about a week to learn the platform and then just present whatever I could build in the meantime.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. See, that's another one we want to take that snippet and show folks like, look at that. Wow, look what people can do. All right. Thank you very much, Diana. Thank you very much, Diana. Let's see. We have some other folks that just joined. We're taking like the next maybe 10 minutes, maybe less, depending on how many more folks show up. To introduce themselves, you can come off mute and speak, or you may come on video and present whatever you'd like for a moment.
Yeah, just to add into it, it's a little scary. Diana, she's building her foundation right now, and
I know.
And
I'm impressed with
she's got
Diana
you right
already.
in front of her.
I know. I'm super impressed with that right away. I mean, here's the thing. This is powerful stuff, and everyone here who's done this for a while now know, and this you will see sooner or later. But that's super impressive that you were able to do that.
Agreed. And I think this topic too is really important, especially as you're starting out, whether it's your career or just you're looking for new ways of doing some things. I mean, there's Dataverse for Teams is new to everybody at this point.
Right.
This is going to be an awesome session.
We will cover it. All right. So the folks that are right now staying on witness protection, let's see, probably Fernando and Jim. Oh, Fernando.
Hello.
Can
you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Excellent, because my microphone doesn't work.
Oh, well, it seems to be working now. Right now, again, it's showing your redacted screen. It's the video that still hasn't come through.
Yes, I have an 8 giga RAM laptop and it's breaking. So I'm Fernando. I'm in Mexico, in Puebla, which is 1 hour east of Mexico City about. And I am an independent consultant. I am swimming with the sharks in the open ocean, trying to find customers, implementing Power BI and Power Platform. And in December 2019, I went to San Diego to the user group. I didn't know Power Platform at all. And now I am implementing a couple of solutions, one with consumption of indirect material in a manufacturing company, medium-sized, and the other is entering the production quantity, scrap and downtime in another manufacturing company with dashboards, reports, but I tell them dashboards. And it's working pretty well. And I am just excited to learn every day more about the platform.
Wonderful. Bienvenido, Fernando.
Gracias. And I hear you all the time with your nice comments in every month, the community call.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for taking time to show that this is really, let's say, beyond the Chicago. I know we're the Chicago Power Platform Group, but it's just a destination. The good thing I love about Chicago, of course, is I can get into the O'Hare Airport and everywhere I can go without a stop. So the same way you came over here, no stops, no detours, no customs.
Right.
Wonderful. Thank you, Fernando. Anyone else wish to come up and say hello or hola or konnichiwa or any other hello? All right. Everyone else right now holding off on witness protection. That's okay. I think we'll probably get started over here. We're at 1:45. We don't want to go on too late, especially for the folks that are in the stranger time zones. Except for those that are early, of course, they have to get out early while there's still sun, especially if you're swimming, sharks or not. You'd like to get out there when it's daylight. Stand by. Okay, I'm going to go back over here. We have our share screen right over here. We've just introduced each other. We just saw who's on the line. You can feel free to use the chat and say hello to the folks. The folks that are here not watching from YouTube, we had the power of Teams, so we're able to chat, share files, do whatever, those funny gifs. We can go ahead and do that on the side. We'll be fine. All right, let me go to the next screen. Really quick, we did our welcome. We did our introductions. I'd like to turn it over now to our guest host, Senor Escobedo, Mr. Anthony. Please, we'll be giving your updates. I'll be covering best practices in our actual talk. We're going to close out with some questions. I put there the licensing queue. It's still there because I'm still the licensing guy, even though my document is no longer front and center. That's fine. We'll talk about that. And then we will conclude. Hold on a second. Fancy screen. All right. Craig is away and Anthony is at play. Please go ahead and tell us. Oh, really quick, by the way, before we go into that one, we are M365 Chicago is the other group that we're running from over here. We'll just remember that we have these links to be able to get the recorded sessions and see everything else that's out there. So everything that you're seeing over here is, let's just say, in spades available through these areas. But I want to go really quickly now and pass it on to Anthony.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. And we'll start out here with the Power Automate, the cloud updates here. So if you haven't found out already, adding your code to your custom connector, what that means, we've all know about the custom connectors that are out there, whether we've built one ourselves or we've, tackled things like in the COE or other places where you've, kind of attached yourself to these custom connectors that are pre-built. And you can kind of, walk through somebody's blog and really, punch through something there. The great thing now that's been added is that they're adding now you can have, you can really curate the response that you're going to get through C#. You don't have to know C# perfectly in order to get there. C# is one of those languages that it's been around for a really long time, and that's actually one of those things that I started in back in, I think it was in high school. I don't know if it was C or C# now that I'm thinking about it, but one of those things that you can really curate what you're going to get back in the response of your API. This is really a game changer, because what it does is it puts the stress on the API and their servers versus, when you're, kind of formulating that Power Automate and you're translating the information when you get it back into, your systems. This is something when you send it out and you get back the information that you need, making it really easy. So again, this takes a little bit more time to, build out your custom connector. It's one more extra thing that can be added to it. Not necessarily needed, but a nice to have for sure. And this is I think this will be a game changer as we start to see the way that informations and responses are coming back from those custom APIs. All right, and then with new connectors through the independent publisher connector program, this is really exciting stuff. Again, this is something that, I feel like I didn't really see coming yet this early in the game. This is something where you see like ADP and ServiceNow and these other ones, Twitter and these other connectors that have been out there for a very long time. They're very established, but those are the connectors that everybody uses, right? Now we have independent publishing connectors as a program. You can actually, as an individual, go in and publish a new connector. So it can be any connector that's out there. It has to abide by certain rules, and then they'll publish that. And the takeaway from that used to be, I think it was 7 days from when you submitted to when it was accepted. That was when it was not independent publishing, but I'm guessing it's probably still in that same SLA time. So we're going to start to see a flurry of these new connectors as this program has just opened up. You can also submit a connector to the Microsoft Power Platform. Again, just as you being an independent person. So just make sure that that those are out there and you can take care of that yourself. And as a high level, in the last month or so, there's been 13 new partners that are going to be including their services in the Power Platform. And I won't go over every individual one, but there are some great ones that are out there. Again, this is going to be more on that Power Automate side, but you'll see some of that come into Power Apps as well. Thank you for that. And moving on here to Power Automate Desktop. Again, if you aren't familiar, this is going to be the RPA solution that Microsoft has. It really just screen grabs and captures your clicks and is able to take that to the next level by automating it. You can do it through your own desktop, which is the free version. And then we also have the paid version where you can, pretty much rent space on their servers to, run this at scheduled times or at, when there's a trigger that would kick that off. So again, really exciting stuff here with the Power Automate Desktop. Some updates towards Excel. We were actually just talking about that. Ralph, this was your early days with Excel. It hasn't gone away. And they're making sure that this thing doesn't go anywhere. This is it's actually the backbone, like you said, to the Power Platform, and we're going to start to see a lot more of what Excel, how Excel came to be, and how they have this kind of this written logic inside of the formulas that you can create. You're seeing a lot of that come to the Power Platform, and now with Power Automate Desktop, you're able to take advantage of some of those same things here with getting active cells, get the column names, and so forth. They're really just building on top of what is already there and taking advantage of some deeper integrations with Excel. So really exciting stuff. But beyond that, there's the set screen resolution. This is a really big one because if you don't, in other words, you'd have to type in your exact screen resolution. It was kind of a pain before. This now you're just able to click on a button. Most people are using these standard screen resolutions. You shouldn't have to type in, exactly what your screen resolution is anymore. This is going to make that a lot quicker.
I wanted to add on the Excel part. That is like literally, I'm a lot more excited about that than I look like right now. Believe it or not, that's like, what? I mean, it's one. If we're gonna have a presentation again, I'd like to see that in action. That's actually really cool. We're gonna have a vote to see if that's gonna happen.
That's a good point. I mean, anything you can do with Excel to really just, actually, this goes to the entire Power Platform.
Oh
A lot
man.
of times we're not shifting the entire, program of what it was to the Power Platform, which that happens in a lot of cases. If you think about like SAP and there's other programs that are out there that are these big ships to move, you can attach yourself to these already, built out solutions. So same thing with Excel here. You can attach yourself to these solutions that are out there in the wild that are already working the way that you want, the way that you want them to. But something like Power Automate Desktop, if it doesn't have the API that's going to be able to do it, Power Automate Desktop can really just overlay some of these things and take it to that next level and automate certain tasks at any time that you really need it to.
Exactly. So the new saying is like, hey, if it works, don't fix it, automate it.
I like that a lot. I don't know where that's gonna end up.
It's gonna end up on somebody's T-shirt somewhere. Yep. All right.
I like it.
Next on the list.
Power Apps. Let's talk about a little bit about Power Apps. This is certainly held near and dear to my heart here with the custom pages. So you're able to add in now these Canvas apps inside of model-driven apps, and you're able to take advantage of literally just that. So before they were completely two separate worlds. We're seeing so much more of this integration. I mean, that goes with all of Power Platform. Even with Power BI, there's the integration with Canvas apps and such. There's just so much more that they're adding in, and this one is a really big milestone. As we're starting to see, responsive apps and seeing that taken to the next level, we're going to start to see some of these, two worlds combine. I mean, I'm sure that these teams are working together on the back end from a Microsoft perspective, but that's where we're starting to, really gain some insights here as to where this is going from a model-driven app and a Canvas app perspective, and those two worlds are really, coming together. Another one that's really exciting, and this is for the people that are probably doing more of the enterprise applications, but there's and Dataverse, I suppose. But when you're administrating application users, it used to be pretty manual, and you could fat finger things back before, and it was kind of tough. It wasn't that tough. It was just annoying. But when you add in these application users and you're able to actually just go through the UI and click down the UI and you're done building this application user inside of Dataverse within a few moments. This is something that was well needed, and now you're seeing again more integration with now Azure AD and Azure itself. Same thing with security roles, teams, and users. We're just seeing more of that end up in that inside of the modern admin center. All of that stuff we're still going to be able to see in the classic version, but this is where they're taking it to the next level with the modern side of things. Really exciting stuff, and I love to see it. With the new task-based and overview videos here, this is where Microsoft is putting their ear to the ground and understanding where are people taking things, how are they getting there, and then they're making official videos on it. This is just one more of those things. They broke down a lot of the high-level use cases of how to breaking that barrier to entry, I guess you could say. People have a lot of questions on Dataverse. This is coming straight from Microsoft on how to get started, I suppose. And it's very high level, but it will get you there. And that's exciting to see that come down the pipeline. With that, there's the October 2021 release Wave 2 updates, and that just was released. There's a ton of things that are in there. Some of that has landed already in this PowerPoint, but again, you can actually go out there and try those out. There's a specific link that you can use to start to understand what those preview features are going to look like ahead of time. And of course, we're at this last bullet point where licensing, it's going to be changing. And Ralph is our guy on this, and actually probably everybody's guy on this. He's the guy who really kept this thing held together for the longest time. And now, like you're saying, it's changing here in October.
Yeah, so let me update on that one, since that was sort of my thing right there. The scary thing with license and just a quick recall of how I got into it is basically my IT told me they were going to take away all my Power Platform stuff because the license thing is going to kill me. I'm going to shut this thing down. It's like, no, don't do that. Let me go find out if we can do it for free somehow or whatever, because they were doing it for free. They were connecting to SQL to do something. And of course, back then, Dataverse was Common Data Service. You had to pay for that, or Dynamics. all of this stuff was expensive. So I had to try to figure out how do we work it out so you're not paying too much for something that's not worth that kind of money, that's not worth the dev and all that stuff. So I went through all that, got all that information, and it turned out it happened right when Microsoft was literally changing the way the licensing worked, because my questions and my problems turned out to be the same thing everyone else was having. And I wasn't an MVP, so I didn't know that they were fixing it. I didn't have any inside information that they were going to converge with what I was looking for. But I happened to be there at the right moment, at the right time, when they said, okay, the whole thing has changed. It's confusing, and we're still ourselves trying to document the heck out of it. So I ended up writing a guidance doc. I was actually asked by Mark Anderson to write a licensing doc for it, a summary. It was based on my courses that I was giving at the time. And he said, okay, let's do that. So that being behind me. So every time there's changes, like I keep close to it. This was, to me, perhaps the biggest one ever since they made the big change back in 2019. And of course, I think there's two changes. That big change where they changed how they were charging. The second was Dataverse for Teams, which essentially gave the gateway drug to everybody to how to use Dataverse and all these other tools. They're still
which is
adding
why
more
today
to the
is so
drug.
important.
Yep, all this freebie stuff. However, it's got the catch, right? There are limitations and everything else. It's like it's gateway drug for a reason. You want it, you need more. Well, guess what? Now you got to pay. But that's true. Here's the point. Why you don't have to pay if you are not going to be that addicted and you're going to be fine where you're at. You're fine. Microsoft doesn't want to bother you necessarily on there. I mean, they'd like you to use more. That's great, but they're not going to come out and bother you. So they looked at that and said, well, here's the thing. The problem is the entry point to the rest of the world was probably set too high. So people were saying, we're going to try to squeeze all our solutions and do whatever we can to be free. And in so doing, sometimes it becomes costly. Ever try to do something for free and you realize you're actually spending more time trying to make that work, right? When then you should have just bought the thing in the first place. It's like, hey, I'm going to get that coffee machine with the grinder already in it. Or maybe I should just get a little grinder and just manually grind it myself. Hey, I'm saving money. Yeah, but I'm spending 3 hours doing that instead of actually just using the machine. Well, they made the things better over here. This particular change for the apps, it works like this. If you remember, it was $10 a month for a per user, per app. And what you got for that per user per app was, guess what? 2 apps, a model or a canvas. So it wasn't really one app per user. It was actually 2 apps per user. Okay. And so that was $10. So now it's $5. But you know what the trick is? That $5 is actually 1 app. So wait a minute. So is that a savings? Not
and that
really.
You'll find in the fine print.
The fine print is like, well, it was $5 before, but we were charging you $10 and you were getting 2 for the price of 10. Well, now I'm getting 1 for the price of 5. So there's no real change there. However, the 20 is different because the 20 was the 40. The 40 was the unlimited. It's very hard, even though in a big enterprise, $40 per month, actually for personal use, that seems like a lot. I know we don't, that's like paying for cable or something, right? You have to have all these shows. Man, I better be getting premium content. I better get my sports channel for $40 freaking dollars a month. But, you know, at $20, well, that's what we pay for Netflix now. So that's a little bit easier. They were looking at this like, all right, when you say 40 to somebody, everyone's like, when you say 20, it's like, not so much. What do they do for 20? Did they half the thing or anything like that? Well, not really, because remember, it's unlimited apps and the premium connection. You're getting all you can. So there's the savings, right? But that's the gateway drug because that gives you the premium access to anything everywhere, as many as you can. So that is the best deal, that 20. The 5 is just simply pricing it what it should be. I'm buying an app, $5, done, right? It's basically the cover charge. You're ante up. But the 20 is truly a 50%.
Ralph, can I throw you for a loop on a quick licensing question that I have?
Yes.
Let's see if I can trick you here.
Yes.
If you were to buy 2 licensing per app licenses, do those stack?
So it's very interesting. So when you're doing the app, when you're doing per license, so each app is $5, right? $5, yep. 1 app. App number 2, $5. App number 3, $5. App number 4, oh, I'm at 20. You might as well get to 20.
Yep.
Right? It will stack. If you want to keep doing that and then add 5 again, actually, if I recall, the interface will stop you and say, you're about to do unlimited apps. Would you like to upgrade?
Mm-hmm.
Press the button.
And I think I read that somewhere, and I haven't gone as far as testing it, but it's good to know that it does truly, because practice in reality sometimes it's
Yes.
there's
So they
sometimes
fixed that, right? So that was actually one of the problems before. It's like it would let you stack and it wouldn't stop you from stacking.
okay.
So we would find licensing situations and some people where they stacked like 10 apps. It's like, you got 10 apps here. Yeah, I only need 10. I don't need unlimited. Yeah, but you're paying like $10 each time, right? And why did you pay $10 for 10? All you needed was actually half of that. Oh, really? I thought it was per app per user. Yeah, it was 2 apps per user. So they were paying all this money for that. It's like, why don't you just get the 40? Because you're actually for 10 at $10, they were paying $100 a month.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why didn't you just pay the 40? I didn't know I could do that. Yes, you can. Oh, by the way, key, very important thing. Remember, apps and automate. So I want to do a flow. Remember how some people say, well, I have to pay for the flow now, $15 or $500 or whatever. Remember, if an app becomes a flow, it's considered part of the same license. So all you have to do is buy the app license. So you get that $5, you get your flows that come with it, whatever. But as long as it's with that flow. The whole point with the flow is like when the flows are running by themselves separately. All right. $20 apps is just for one. Oh, yeah. Oh, so there's a good question. I saw a question over there. That $20 is per user. Yes. No, you can't just hand that over. I want that other person to be able to do it. No, that person has to pay the 20 also. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. We wanted this app to work for everybody. Well, that's different. This is the case where people will choose the flow to make things happen. Right. So flow, you can get the concept of you buy a package at $100 approximately for a flow. It runs for all the users in the enterprise. And then some app, maybe the app will call. Remember, this app is free. If I make an app that runs in SharePoint, I don't need a license for that. And remember, by the way, that $20 that we're talking about, that license, is only if the app is talking to a premium connection. That's one. Or two, doing something premium-y. What is premium-y? I need to talk to more than 5,000 rows of SharePoint. Why do you need to have that much SharePoint? Well, some of us do. All right. That's called a premium. You would think, but SharePoint, isn't that included? It is until you want more than 5,000 rows. All right. Wait a minute. So there are limits. Yes. This is, by the way, what people run into with Teams. Right? When I'm using my freebie Teams, then I want to connect and do that freebie stuff. And all of a sudden it says, I can't do that. I want to install the COE in Teams. Why won't it let me? I'm not touching anything bigger than a few megs or whatever. No, because you want to do something premium-y. And this is the part, this is the nuance. The nuance is to look in the licensing guide and said, okay, I need to make so many calls to the API a day. I need to use so much database or Dataverse space, more than 2 gigs. I need to have this capacity of rows that I want to collect from something that's in Office 365. Those are where they get you, right? But again, if you never have to touch that, walk away. You're fine. You're good. All right. So hey, that was a quick licensing thing right there. That was a good question, by the way.
Cool.
We'll save more licensing questions to the end. Let's see if there's another one. Someone has their hand up over here. Fernando, you have your hand up. You have a question. Go ahead and ask your question.
A question, but because I already experienced in real life that the developer for a premium connector needs the $40 license, but the user can use that application with the $10 license.
For a single, yes, correct. That's very good. That's a very good distinction, right? The developer is making many apps and probably using many apps. The user is only using the one app that the developer made. They only need to pay that 10, but now they only have to pay 5.
Yes, so the 10 or 5 in the future is premium license, but just for one license.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. All right, thanks.
Very good one. Aha. That was a good nuance. And I wish though that the guidance doc was still there. I wanted to put a whole bunch of scenarios in there, but oh well. That'll be for these sessions. All right. We have another question. We using $20 unlimited just for one. Yes. I'm developing an app for 50,000 users. I won't need 50,000 times 20. No. As you just heard over there, it'll be 50,000. If there's 50,000 users and they're only all using one app, they'll all be paying $5. You still have to pay $5. By the way, if you're having that many users, talk to Microsoft. There's price breaks. Right. I happen to know that if you look in the fine print right now, there are price breaks for only like 3,000 users. There's already a price break. I think it's like $12 instead of 20 or something like that.
Yeah, 12 and 3, I believe.
12 and 3. So there's already a price break, and that's for everybody. That you're not even a partner. You're not even a Microsoft like big vendor, and you're already getting a price break. So if we're talking about something at that scale, 50,000 users or any more, you talk to Microsoft, they will come and deal with you. Because what they love more than anything else is the numbers of users using it. I don't think they really care so much about exactly how much per user they're getting, but if there's that scale, that you can't like say, you can't look at those numbers and say, no, those numbers have a lot as much meaning as the cost that you're getting. Because otherwise they'll just charge lots of money. It's like, yeah, a few users, I'm getting tons of money, I'll go home to sleep. Nope. That's not what Microsoft works. Microsoft's the other way. Microsoft get tons of users. If I get small, that's okay because it all adds up. Or that's our lesson on how Satya makes money. All right.
Yeah, and I think the big thing there is them using it and actually, building useful things, and then that's where you're going to see that ROI, because with the 50 times, let's say $20 an hour or $20 a month, and it's just the one app. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough to justify that. But once you start to build that Power Platform culture, everybody's automating everything, and you're going to start to see the huge ROI, not only individually from a productivity standpoint, but at the team level or the business level, divisions, and then even IT. Just, I mean, they're going to start to build everything. Not everything. They're going to build a lot inside of Power Apps, and it's going to give them another tool under their belt that they can start to streamline things and minimize their backlog.
So there was actually a little bit of a side note on here where you talk about it's hard to switch from SQL Server to Dataverse, partially because of that money. That's true. But the other part of the what's actually hard to switch is actually because Dataverse has got a limited capacity in size. Remember, with the freebie, you get that 2 gigs. And with the tenant, you get like 10 gigs for everybody. That can go very fast. You end up having to buy more space. If you're a SQL Server, you're in full control of the SQL. You're only paying capacity at that level. This is why SQL Server still lives and will live for quite a while, because Dataverse, again, will have capacity. But once again, when you're breaking those limits, time to negotiate with Microsoft. You go to them and say, look, I need this capacity. If you want me to go to Dataverse, throw me a bone, right? Let them throw you a bone. Find out who your rep is. And they got bones to throw this fiscal 22, I heard. All right.
Our platform is huge. I mean, I think that
platform is
everybody
big.
knows that. If you talk to anybody on the sales side, I mean, all focus, a lot of focus, anyways, is in the Power Platform, and it's going to be really exciting to see, especially with this new license change coming up. We're going to see a huge spike in not only, I guess, conversations from Microsoft, but in terms of development and the people that have access to it, we're going to see a huge spike this year.
Yep, I totally agree. All right, let's see what we have. And now we go into the presentation. All right, we have no problem. We have folks coming in. I shall, if somebody can watch the click and admit as folks come by while I get more into presentation mode over here, please watch the chat. All right. So this is about best practice development in DevPlan and the team's environments. And that's what this talk about, basically the real life stuff that we're starting to do a little bit out there. Just so you know, obviously in a larger environment where you have things like the Center of Excellence and everything else, you have all those abilities to have a bunch of people working on different things to make it happen. But a lot of what I'm talking about over here is if you yourself and you are your own pilot for your own ship at this point, this is what these tips are all about to help you get through. It's some of it, a lot of it is still the manual pieces. I mean, we can have a session on automation and doing all that stuff, but truly this is mostly for your own personal productivity. So that's why I call it playing in the real world, which is where most of us are at. So we already talked a little bit about myself, but I'm going to add a couple of things over here. I have another podcast called cloudtalkshow.com. At Cloud Talk Show, it's got a YouTube channel, everything else. And that one just basically, this is how this all started with cloud topics. And of course, Power Platform is one of the ultimate cloud topics to cover. So there's every so often a Power Platform-y thing that's in there. There's my Twitter handle. There's our other handle for the CPUG, the M365 Chicago event. my LinkedIn over there. Please feel free to connect with me. I'm pretty open about connections. Even recruiters, I even say yes to them if they really want to connect. Okay, fine. Let them look. M365, as a power user, this is my specialty. So essentially, I am a power addict, to be sure. I was the original author of the Power Platform Licensing Guidance. Of course, again, that's not there now. It's basically a historical piece, but I am that person. Semi-mild-mannered architect by day. I guess that would be a good way of putting it, because every so often you look at something and you're like, you don't want to be so mild-mannered about it, but everyone knows that, right? That's called work. And normally, and maybe no one's surprised, yes, entertainer, travel agent, tour guide, mentor, everything else by house by night. There's me in my mentor mode in the picture right over there. All righty. Okay, quick agenda for what we're covering over here. We're just going to quickly talk Power Platform. Everyone, it's like I call it a reintro. Folks pretty much know what this is. It's just a quick to cover it, and especially for the video for people who are watching from the outside, they might get it. Or if like you're very new to it, you might pick up something new, a new way of talking about it. Hold on a second. Let's see if it's fuzzy. We can look at that. Oh yes, we can see about the fuzzy PPTs. Why does this look fuzzy? It could be the resolution of the network right now. Let's see. All right, we'll see about that.
It looks good. Right. Yeah, it's good enough. Just the smaller text was a little difficult.
Yeah, oh yes. Okay, so I'll keep that in mind. As when I get to small text, I'll try to avoid some of those. Fortunately, it's mostly hands-on stuff that we're going to take a look at. About the tools for developing, we're going to list basically what are tools, and I put the tools in quotes over here. Sharing the publishing permissions, little things, and dealing with the licenses. Actually, a lot of that we actually covered already, so might breeze past that. And the best path, if you're going to do some Power Platformy stuff, what's your best path given the general tools that we've got? All right, real quick, everyone's probably seen this slide, what the Power Platform is all about, but I just wanted to point out that we are focused in this particular talk with Power Apps, Automate, maybe connectors and Dataverse. The rest of them are mostly they're almost their own beasts, their own animals. Power Virtual Agents notwithstanding, you can have that put into a solution and moved out, but this won't be covered over here. Also, Power BI still sits on its own separately, and even ironically, when we're doing like the COE and those kind of tools, Power BI is integral to those things, right? But that's not covered in what we're talking over here. That can probably be it's subject to itself. All right, and AI Builder, again, it's just, it's a bit of a separate subject, even though it's in there as well. It's in the same vein as Power Virtual Agents. All right, time to get a little hands-on-y. Let's go ahead and get out over here first. All right, the starting point for everybody, not everybody has this starting point, right? Where you start at office.com when you're trying to find your different items that are out there. You know that there's little things over here from installing Office. Sometimes your organization will have its own version of office.com or your own landing page. But the idea over here is to get your apps and whatever it is that you need to work in. You want to have your quick way of getting to those items. If you're working Power Automate, have your Power Automate ready to go. Have your pieces ready to go. You can have them on your browser set up like I have it over here ready to go. That would be one thing. Let me make these bigger and make the screen a little bit bigger over here. I wish I could change the font on this. Yes, I can. Why can't? Why not?
It is coming through a little fuzzy again here, which is, I think it just, like you said, it might be
it takes a while for the network to update, so I'm just going to update the resolution just a little bit. So coming through the fuzz is definitely the case of the updates over here. But you're looking at Edge right now where I'm looking through it. Instead of like the tabs on top, I have the tabs on the side. All right. And what I typically do is when I'm working, I will have this setup where I have basically my key tabs that I'm working on so I can go back and forth through them. And it's like, why would I do that? Why would I not just click on links and let them take me to where I got to go? Navigating around things, as folks may remember or have already experienced, especially if you're working with a Power App solution or a Power App, an actual app. You sometimes you'll click on something inadvertently. You're like, oh shoot, I left it and I forgot to save it, or I did something. Those are the little things that like are very painful, just annoying and everything else. So I just try to get into that rhythm where I have things where I'm just going to go, okay, now I need to work on the solution for this app, work on the separate area, go to the separate page where I have that information ready to go instead of the actual app. And then the other place, of course, is when we're working in the Teams environment. So let's go do a distinction over here. Everyone has probably seen the Power Apps, the make.powerapps.com. This is typically where you want to start. And I'm going to tell you right now, a spoiler towards the end over here, this is still where you want to start. And what's the difference over here? The difference is what environment are you actually in when you're doing your development? And you see over here, I have my dev plan environment. Has everyone have their dev plan yet? If you don't have a dev plan, the dev plan allows you to do premium stuff. Again, it's just got limits. Like, you can't exactly share it. You can't make too many calls to things like that. But it is the premium connection. With my dev plan environment, I can talk to SQL. I can talk to HTTP requests, everything that would cost me money, and I can make as many apps as I want. Remember that $20 or that $40 for the developer to do as much as they want? If they do it in their dev environment, it's not going to cost them a cent. If they deploy it and then they use it, right? Yeah, then it's going to cost them, right? But right now, while it's in the environment, while it's in dev, it doesn't cost, right? So the dev plan, by the way, here's the good old link. It's powerapps.microsoft.com/developer plan. Just remember that's your link to get started for free. Or in this case, you're probably going to do this. Existing user, add a dev environment. So believe it or not, every time I join an organization, they give me tenant access. All I do is I go to each one of these and I add my own dev environment. So I have a bunch of these going on just about everywhere. This usually is not shut down. It doesn't seem like there's a policy to not allow a dev environment. What is a dev environment? The dev environment, and let me go back over here. The dev environment allows me to create apps that connect to the parent environment. So I created this dev environment under this this domain over here. What's this domain? bigpix.com. So that's this dev environment, which means I can connect to everything in bigpix.com. If I have a personal dev environment for my own personal use at, say, msn.com, it will not connect here. They'll have no way of talking to it. This is all done behind the scenes, automagic. Everything is all taken care of. This is why this is very important. You have your dev environment. You have the power to do anything you need. The only thing you probably do need is permissions. Say, for example, if you're connecting to something that you need permission for, well, just like anything else, you still need permissions to go after it. Oh, I don't have access to that SharePoint site. Well, you still won't have access to that SharePoint site, even if you have a dev plan. However, you can use the premium connections to do HTTP crazy calls to MS Graph behind the scenes to that without a problem. So this is the first thing that I want to emphasize really quick. With that dev environment, you can do all that stuff. Now, we're talking environments. I hope folks understand the concept of environments. Environments essentially is that space where the Power Apps is going to live. Behind the scenes, under the covers, is a Dataverse table, a database that actually keeps track of everything that's going on, all the activity. There's always going to be at least one production environment. As you can see here, there's one. And in a lot of organizations that are big, they may have sandbox environments. They may have dev. They might actually have quote-unquote dev environments. They're actually the same as sandbox or production environments that are full powered and being paid for. You actually have to pay for them to make them work, but they're out there. All right. And plus, if I'm the administrator, take a look here. I'm going to the admin center. If I'm an administrator and I go to the admin center, not only will I see any Teams environment that's out there, and we're going to talk about Teams environment in a moment, any other kind of environment that's out there, but you will also see if anybody set up a personal environment, you as the admin will get to see all the people who have set up personal environments. Wow, why is that important? Oh, isn't that breaking privacy? No, in fact, this is what you want. You don't want people willy-nilly doing development where you don't know what they're doing. They're using your domain name in the context of getting this ability to talk to the other apps. Without that access to see even the personal environments that are being used out there, those so-called dev environments, you don't have a true picture of what's going on in the world. Right? You don't have true control of what's going on in the world. This sort of means that I could kick out this guy. He's like, hey, he's got a developer plan. Here, he's not supposed to be there. I can do stuff if I wanted to. All right. Or I could say promote and, as they call it, nurture the citizen developer. Oh, wow. He actually created a development environment. How nice. Good. I shall give him support. I shall help him out. give him some tools, and encourage him to stay there and do his work there. Don't touch my other environments, and maybe use some of my tools to move his app away from there. All right. So that brings up the Teams environment. The Teams environment, which you usually see when you add your Power Apps. Remember this? You go here and find an app. You can add a Power App. When you add your Power Apps over here, and here's the big thing. There's a big difference. So, for example, when I go home, I basically see all my apps. This is the worst. When you come here the first time, everything's blank and you don't see anything. In a regular organization, you might see a little bit more that's out here. And this is a very quiet dev tenant. But most importantly, when they click on build, all the team sites that have environments set up that you have access to will show up over here. Just heard. Yes, go ahead.
Just very quickly, so when you see the list that shows over there, can you just explain what that list is?
So remember when you go to teams, remember all these teams over here? I have a project teams, right? Here I have I own this champions team. But wait a minute, when I went back over here to Power Apps, why didn't I see a champions team here? Because there are no apps there. There is no Dataverse or data table underneath. I actually have to do this. I actually have to create an app. Watch this. I'm going to make an app, and look at this. It's saying select a team for an app. Okay, I'm going to make one for the deployment team. All right, I'm going to create an app for this deployment team, getting things ready.
I like that you're showing this, because what's going to come of this is that it starts up almost immediately. Every time I click on it and it opens up, I mean, it takes like 10, 15, whatever it is, seconds. And, I'm always surprised.
Yes. So here it goes. It's starting. It's thinking. It might be going slow because it's giving resources to the world somewhere else. I already have a little notification came in. Success. Power Apps is ready to go. And let's go ahead and create this like Hello World app. And of course, I'm watching the Cylon discuss whether he's going to listen to his robot master or not. I call this the Cylon ring. Zoop, zoop, by your command. If anyone remembers that. Sorry. Okay, loading. Okay, I'm going to call this baby Skynet. Okay. All right, save. All right, fine. Okay, the app is saved, but most importantly, what just happened over here? I'm in the environment that sort of looks the same. You've seen, here's baby Skynet. You can already see that this and here looks different than if I was, let's go back over here. And I'm going to make a Canvas app from blank over here. And I'm going to call it the baby Skynet. All right, and he's let's make him a tablet app, fine. Let's see the difference, right? I don't know why I keep getting that get started. I've made that over and over again, and it keeps saying get started. All right, so look, baby, look, wait a minute, look, menus are different. Let's see the difference. All right, and you see where these items are over here. Look at these. Let's see. They've been trying to make this the same. One of the requests we asked Microsoft, can you make these more the same? But there is still a difference, and I'll show you one of the big ones. You see this over here, the nice add data, new screen, settings up here. Let's go up here. No, these are different. I go settings up here. All right, action. All these pieces are in different places. The Power Automate, the view, these kings, they're different. All right, the app checker is over here. So unfortunately, it's not the same. So there's a different experience, and you may like one over the other, right? And if you want to develop the stuff and you feel one is better than the other, then the first suggestion I have for you is use the environment that's most comfortable for you. Frankly, the one with the most power is the original environment, because this one is sort of like a little bit streamlined so that it fits inside. And hey, check it out. We're inside Teams. This is an app running inside Teams. There's going to be difference by virtue of the fact that it needs to run inside this app. We can't let you run roughshod on the interface. So first thing to look at, big difference in the Teams. Oh, okay, we just did that in Teams, and I just saved it, And I just preview it just for the sake of it to show it's there. Okay, whatever. All right. But now let's go back here to Power Apps for just a moment. Oh, wait, no. I'm going to go to Home. And then go to Build. Oh, yeah. So like I could have saved something. Aha, look at this. You see that? Now. Right, there's Project 1, Project 2. Let's go back to the Power Platform Admin Center, and let me refresh my environments here. Ta-da! Look at this, a new environment. Deployment team has been successfully created. So if your users are willy-nilly creating Dataverse teamy environments in Teams, they're all going to start showing up over here. You want to watch your sprawl, watch this guy grow up because they just read a blog that, hey, I can use Teams for free. Yeah. All of a sudden, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 starts coming out.
And they listen to Ralph's user group talk.
Yep, that's right. They were hearing it. It's like, hey, I can do that. Watch me. All right. So watch me. Now, here's the thing. Do I do my crazy development, play around, and make baby Skynet in my Teams environment? Oh, here's the thing. I did this in Teams. What else do I get by doing it in Teams? You remember all the team members that are in there and all the team owners? Well, guess what? All of them have instant access to run it and in some cases, like if depending on how the owner is set up, to actually edit it. So another owner of this team can come and edit and take my baby Skynet away from me. Another user can run it just like that. I didn't have to give them access. I didn't have to share it with them. They don't have to run a license, nothing. It's there. It's running. It's available. All I have to do is just simply publish baby Skynet, because unless they come over here to Power Apps to find baby Skynet, they would have to come over here to baby Skynet and 1 second. They would actually have to publish it. Let's just look at that experience here for a moment. I just want to underscore the difference in the experience, because this is what's going to help you. Either you're going to have the pain now, or you're later on like, I've been trying to do this, Ralph, and it sucks. It's like, well, I'm having the pain for you now, so you don't have to run to this later. Okay, let's look at Power Apps. And Power Apps over here didn't have a publish button anywhere. How do you publish a Power App? It's not the same. When I publish a Power App, it basically is quote unquote published somewhere. Then I have to share the URL to somebody and do all that. I have to go through a bunch of rigmarole, maybe a bunch of like, tell the admin, can you please put this in the company app so that people can find it and do all that stuff. However, in Teams, this is all they got to do. Publish to Teams. There. What do you want to publish? Baby Skynet? Sure. And here's what Teams does. You pick a tab where you want it to go. Pick a tab. And that's not the drink. All right, I want it to go right here to the business upgrade, because that's that channel that I wanted to go. Save and close. And now that tab has the app. That means that anyone who has a guest to the team itself, anybody who comes and wants to use it, instant access, no permissions issue. I talked about, like, we're going to talk about permissions and all that stuff and licensing. In one fell swoop, I did it in Teams, and all of those issues are all resolved. However, the catch is all of those issues are all resolved. Maybe that's not what I wanted. I wanted something more specific. I want only user X and user Y under the condition that they signed over their firstborn to me. Whatever those conditions, then you have to go to the big boy or the big gal, whichever, the big person over here on this side, and do that work from here when you're doing the publishing, when you're doing the sharing, and you go into the admin center and you do all that good stuff over there. That's different. So that's the main topic that I wanted to cover over here, that big difference in how what the experience is when you're building, what the experience is when you're moving. And the next thing, let's see, any quick questions on that right off the bat? I will take a little quick question. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So when you create an app within Teams,
Yes.
where
does it live?
Possible to save the data?
Okay. So let's look at that. Let's go to build. So over here, see, let me go to this next part. You see where it says see all over here? Here's my baby Skynet, but let me click on see all. Here's what you get in a Teams environment. You get apps, chatbots. Yes, that's by the way, Power Virtual Agents, $1,000 a month, free. Here, flows. Aha! Watch this. You see that flows? What do you notice about this flows? There's only one kind of flows you can do: cloud flows. No, those other weird kind of flows, the model-driven flows, niet. However, here's the key. Look at the tables over here. And look, I can make it now. I can make a table. So there's no tables over here. Let me go back to my build for just a second. Let me go to project 1. And let me go to the see all. And let me go to tables over here. And there's a table. This is a dataverse table. All right. By the way, this data is not the toy data that you see over here. And by the way, you can get toy data over here, back in Power Apps over here. And let me close up over here for just a second. Save. Just a moment. You were asking where your data was. If in your environment, like say this environment, and you go to data, this is your dataverse. This is in the toy environment, and this is basically the sample app. When you create, by the way, your own dev environment, one of the things it'll ask you when you create a table is say, you don't have a table, create a dataverse sample, and then you have that little checkbox that says add all the sample data. It will do that for you in the dev environment. It does not do that for you in the teams. All that sample data, you can't put sample data in here. When you create a Teams environment, it gives you an empty, and let's go look at that again. It gives you an empty database, but it is still a database. You don't have to create that database, that dataverse from scratch anymore. All I have to do now is new table, and I can create and say, feeding sched. Okay, so here's the feeding sched for baby Skynet. This is going to be a table. The display name is food name. There we go. And I'm going to create it. And it takes a little bit. There we go. That was pretty fast. Wow. There's my Dataverse table with all this nice, beautiful extra fields and extra power. It's the full power of Dataverse, right? With views, with relationships. I can go ahead and create an app from this or whatever I want from this. But there it is. It's ready to go. And that data lives in this environment. If I want this stuff to get out there, here's the problem. If I develop inside of Teams, the big issue with that is how do you export or save anything out? Let's go look at that again. Let's go back to apps. Let me go to baby Skynet. I just created it here in Teams. I just went through all the trouble to make it go in Teams. Now, I want to do something like what I do over here, right? So let me go over here and do it also over here. So let me go in. Here we go. PC mail me. Yep. Oh, sorry. I'm not supposed to run it. Hello. Yep, I make that same mistake also. Here we go. Edit. Yes, I did get started. Did you see that? It still thinks I'm getting started. It makes me feel young, I guess. I don't know. Hold on. Come on. All right. Now, what do I have a choice over here? I have file, save as. Remember, I can save as a zip file, and then I can now move it to another environment and do all that good stuff. Let's go back over here to this guy. Okay, first thing I notice is there's no file menu. Oh, there's a save. Okay, that just saves. Settings. Okay. All right. How do I export? How do I save this guy? All right, let's go over here. Well, there's baby Skynet right there. Let me go see all. And you see all the extra clicks I have to do just to get to some of the same features. So let me go to baby Skynet over here. And now, finally, I have my export. This is almost the only way I can get this thing out of here. If I wanted to, I made this app in Teams. I'm like, oh, shoot, this is a great idea. I want to give it to other teams, or I want to develop it further in my development environment or someone else. I got to go all this rigmarole just to export it. All right. But this export is what it is, right? So here's another thing that's missing. So notice I have other connection references, environment variables. The next important concept over here is solutions. If we go back to regular Power Apps, let me go back to that. Come on. If everyone remembers solutions. All right. Solutions are great because then you can package and put all your good stuff all in one place, your accounts, your environment variables. You can do all that stuff. You could take one of these solutions and you could bring them into Teams. It'll be called Other. You may want to remember that. It's like, hey, how do I bring solutions into Teams? You go to Other and then go Import. That's how you bring a solution. There's a catch. Not everything can be imported. If your solution contains, again, things that can't be there, like cloud flows or Dataverse tables that belong to some other system, they cannot be brought in. However, flows and apps, no problem. All right. So do we have an answer on where things live? It lives in these environments. That's the first thing we learned. In their environments, they live. Solutions in Teams live in the other world. And by the way, when you bring in the solution in Team, it doesn't even show up here after you bring it in. It's actually broken out. The flows of the solution will show up here. The apps of the solution will show up in apps, but it's still a quote unquote solution.
Ralph,
And the only Yep, go ahead.
One thing I gotta say is that they did something right here with all and then apps and cloud flows and such on the left. I love that I can switch between those so quickly. I mean, honestly, like this is something that I cruise through this really quickly and it loads really fast. This is something that I just felt like I didn't see it coming, and then it was there.
Exactly. So this is you know why they did this? They did this for the fast. I want to get in, get out. I'm done.
Yep.
I'm not fancy. I'm not creating data. I'm not creating like the solution to COVID-19 right now. I'm putting all this stuff to make it happen. If you want the COVID-19 solution, by the way, download the free solution they got out there. But still, it's like I just want to get back and forth. Now, if I have to get fancy, if anyone says, but I need to get fancy, well, hold on a second. Remember your context. You're in Teams. If you're in Teams, you're working in that team situation. You need to be nimble, fast, quick.
Yeah.
This is for nimble, fast, quick. If you need to really think it through, make something big, humongous, monolith, then go to the big boy. Go to the monolith area. Yeah. So solutions, of course, that's where you're doing something really humongously big. It's got all the pieces. Why would you do that in Teams? Maybe not. However, if you did something in Teams, maybe you started small and you have big ambitions. You're ready to go to big time. You're ready to go downtown. I've just shown you how you can now export said thing out. Once you export said thing out, all you have to do is go to your Power Apps, maybe go to your dev environment or whatever, and then re-import it. Ta-da, you have it. It's done.
Nice, thank you.
You're most welcome. That was a long way to answer the question, but it was like it's really part of our flow here. This is what I call best practices. The first thing in best practices is to realize what you have at each environment. Here's the one nuance that's out here. Power Automate seems to treat things differently. Okay, first thing to notice over here, how many environments do you see? I see that environment. Wait a minute, where's my Teams environment? Why doesn't it show me my Teams environment over here? Why does Power Automate show me my Teams environment? In fact, let me refresh this guy. Is there? Let's see. There's development team, right? Flow, for some reason, or rather Automate, will show you all your environments that you have access to. Not so Power Apps. Power Apps will not show you the Teams environment. You know why? Because they're not letting you use this environment to edit this. They want you to come here. You notice there's a Power Apps thing. There's not a Power Automate thing. If I want to work on a flow over here, watch what happens. I'm going to do a new flow. And by the way, these are the only flows you can do. So I'm going to do an instant flow. Let's see what happens. And we're going to call it feed baby Skynet. All right. And yes. By the way, I don't do Hello World. I do Goodbye Mars is my usual app that I do. All right. So let's say it's going to do something, I don't know, HTTP-ish. Just for the sake, I just want to see if it's going to get mad at me for the premium connection. So it hasn't got mad at me. A method, so let's get, because what we do a get, and we're going to call the URI is required, HTTPS, URI this, Okay. There we go. Headers. Headers in a key. It's like name. None. Whatever. Just adding some stuff. A request content. Just leave it there, and I'll go ahead and just do stuff. See, it's not getting mad at me at this point. All right. But take a look. It might say, "Oh, wait a minute. I want to do some premium-y stuff. Let me try to see if I can do a premium-y stuff. What's premium-y? Besides running a flow with automatic desktop. What's premium? I know. SQL. SQL Server. Let's go and execute a SQL query. Did it get mad at me and stop? No. See, here's the very interesting thing. The flow checker just simply says I don't have it. Invalid connection. I have to choose a proper connection because I don't have a connection here. That's fine. It's not getting mad at me to use premium stuff from Dataverse. Here's the thing. Again, when you're using it in Teams, there's some premium things you're going to discover that you're able to do. But again, it's gateway. I'm warning you, gateway drug. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, you can do it. And all of a sudden you try to do something that you thought you could do, and all of a sudden it stops you dead, saying this license model or this environment will not allow you to do X. And it doesn't exactly tell you what it's not allowed to do. But that's your warning that if you try to do something premium beyond Dataverse or something else, be prepared to potentially hit that roadblock of that stuff. And the way I sometimes discover what that is I'll export this, and then I'll go back over here and try to do it, and it works. And I say, okay, that's what it was. It was a Dataverse limitation. As far as trying to find those out ahead of time, again, it's a case of like, just try it. If it doesn't work, take a note. You may want to look it up and say, hey, can I run this in Dataverse? Some people might already know that, hey, don't even try to call more than 5,000 records from SharePoint. And they'll probably tell you, well, you couldn't do that in regular Dataverse anyway. Oh, really? Oh, we didn't know that. Okay, we learned. That would be the way to find out. All right. Well, let's take a look. I'm looking at my little agenda here on the notes of things that I'm covering. So this now becomes an issue now of like, we saw Dataverse as available inside of the Teams environment. Dataverse, of course, in our toy environment, our dev and plan, as they say. And of course, Dataverse will exist or likely exist in the production environment that you're using. So Dataverse now becomes, let's just say, more practical a solution choice. Why Dataverse versus someone else? Well, Dataverse is essentially your butler version of your SQL Server. Everything's all handled for you, the model-driven stuff, all that stuff. Much easier with Dataverse. But then in the end of the day, at some point, when you need to use it to its full power, you will have to pay. And as they say, well, you have the butler version. You should at least tip the guy, basically, right? Well, if you have the self-service version, SQL Server, well, okay, you're serving yourself. You don't have to leave a tip. And think of it that way, right? When you pick up your food? By the way, do you leave a tip when you go and do pickup, or do you only leave a tip when you're at the restaurant? Think about that for not too long. But this is the concept over here. Is it worth paying versus if it's not? And so now think about this next one, right? If I'm not going to pay, what would be my options besides SharePoint, besides potentially an Excel file as your data source? You got to think, especially with SharePoint, and this is one thing I want to make clear. SharePoint, even though there's a lot of connector things for it, there are some things that you can't do. Like, say, remember that issue what I talked about, the more than 5,000 rows? I got to deal with it. Well, there's a way behind it, but it'll require, guess what? HTTPS. I need to do a flow in the back end that actually does the premium talk into the system. Aha. Well, maybe I didn't want to do SharePoint then. Maybe since I'm paying premium anyway, let me just do SQL or Dataverse. Since I'm paying premium anyway, think of it this way. If you're going to pay premium, and remember, when you get your license for unlimited, for all you can do, you're done. You're okay. You've solved your problem. The difference is, do you pay? Do you not pay? And if you're not going to pay, then what's the most you can do without having to pay? If you are going to pay, don't skimp. Don't like, well, let me use Excel because I'm paying a premium to talk to SAP, but I don't want to use the Dataverse because I have to pay. You already paid for the SAP connection. You just get the Dataverse while you're at it. What's the problem? The problem could be like, well, I know how to work with Excel. I don't know how to work with Dataverse. Please do not be scared. Dataverse is actually pretty easy. It's actually harder to work with Excel Even though they just gave us those cool tools on the Power Automate desktop, it's actually harder to work with Excel. There are some reasons that Excel is what it is. It's not a database. I think since I was doing the low code from Excel from the beginning, remember, Excel's not a database. It's supposed to be where you analyze data. Data should be kept somewhere else, brought into Excel for that environment. And if you're going to analyze the environment, hey, remember, we have something else, Power BI, but that's for another lesson. All right, where are we at? So we have the dev plan we have some so far the dev plan where we can do our stuff. We know that we can do things in regular environments. That's fine. We know that there are some limitations in Teams. I'm just going to save it. Oh, cannot load property of the name undefined. It's just not letting me save it. But it's just telling me there's an error. Let me go back.
Another big thing out of like the Microsoft Teams side of Power Apps is that you can only access your data and you can only access your apps and such through Microsoft Teams. I think that's, I guess, where have you seen that be, a constraint, or have you seen that be a constraint, or is that
yes.
part of your decision-making process?
So here's an interesting thing. Remember I said, for example, here's the thing. I could create something in Dataverse and Teams, and actually April Dunham has a great video on this. She created the app inside of Teams and everything else, and says, what if we wanted to share it to people outside of the team? Can we do that? Apparently, yes. The sharing, you've seen, everyone might have seen when you're in an app. Let me go to an app. And let me go to Baby Skynet. Baby Skynet, come on. Approach Baby Skynet. Let's see. How do I do sharing? Okay, upcoming feature support. Somewhere over here is sharing.
You got to go to if you click on the build screen.
The build screen, right? Yeah, I got to go here to do it.
Yeah.
So again, I couldn't do it from there. But if I was up here, yes. I could do it. I could do all my sharing, all my stuff from here. But now for here, I have to go outside. And by the way, be careful because this is incomplete. Really, the work has to be done here. There's no direct way to get there. You always have to do that extra click. So now I go over here. And I go over here and now I can click on add to Teams details. What was my other choice over here? Let me uncheck. Share with colleagues. Look at that, Microsoft Teams App Store. So I want to share Baby Skynet. And I have to select a security group. This is the trick for this. By the way, this is fairly new, this interface. It used to be actually harder to do. This is actually easier. Okay, pick your security group. So I got to pick one. So let me see if project one is in there. There we go. So I want to share it with project one. And the colleague can
here you're using a Microsoft group too. I mean, that's an exciting kind of artifact as well when you think about, the end users or the owners being able to manage a security group in this sense.
Yes. So this was a success, project one. So here's an interesting, I created it in Teams. It's really, remember I told you everyone in Teams, in the team has access to everything else in just 2 seconds. And this was, I swear to you, this was harder like 2 months ago. In a few seconds, I just shared it to another team. And wait a minute, are those people going to have to pay the license to use it? What do you think the answer is? Do they? I just shared it to another team. This is in this environment. Do those users have to pay? The answer is no, because it's still in Teams. It's still in the MS Group sort of thing, which is quote unquote inside of Teams. However, you'll notice that what security group was not going to show up there. If I created some general security group out there from AD on premises, it would not even allow me to do that, because those folks don't have that context to be able to do things that are MS Group type activities. Away, that would be a premium to share. And it would just tell. Firstly, it wouldn't let me. So if I wanted to share it, I can't. I have to take it out and put it in a true environment, and then provide the permissions directly. So far, so good. Everyone's like, oh God, this is so many things to think about. Let's think about this in a more simple fashion. The simple fashion is, if you're doing things that have to work everywhere and you really need to make things work at the environment level, use your dev plan, do your stuff, push it out as you need it. If you need the full power of the editor and all these things to really go to town when you're editing and doing all that stuff, in apps, do it there. And flow, it doesn't matter, because, by the way, when you do an edit flow, it takes you to flow anyway, or to automate. So it's the same interface. But for apps, there is a difference in the user interface in what you can do, and or rather how you can do it, I should say. So do it there, and then export, or rather export your item, and then bring it in. Go to your Power Apps over here, and just go import and bring it in, and then maybe continue to work there, or just simply at that point it's done, publish, and you're ready to go. All right. Solutions are great for moving a bunch. Say you do like a flow, an app, maybe an environment variable. As you can see, think about these things: connection references and environment variables. This also, by the way, when this came out, these were not available. Now they're. This is what makes this to me very powerful. I can do all my work out here. I can have developers somewhere in other part of the world all do the work out over here, and then we can deploy to teams. And they would deploy to here, right? The solution, and all of those pieces come in, environment variables, all that stuff gets set up. It's a beautiful way. Now, if you're fast and dirty, you need to get things going quickly, right? Yeah, you could use your own development environment, but the only problem with that is you still have to do all the extra labor of pushing it out, sharing it, doing all that stuff. If you really want fast and dirty, it's out. The fastest app time you can get, do it in Teams, build your app, you're done. All right, how far we got? We're at the limit, I think, of my stuff that I'm going to cover. I'm going to look over here if I have any deeper discussions to flow or not to flow. Oh no, these are less nuances that I had from my other talk. All right, just really quickly for those who are into the ALM piece of it, everything that you've seen over here is scriptable. Pretty much. It doesn't work that well yet for some of the team stuff, but for everything else, especially out here in the dev environment to the regular environment, all that stuff is all scriptable. But for now, it's better to know, even if you know you're going to script this, it's better to know how to do this stuff by hand and get the feel for how this stuff works. So when something fails, you can actually go in here and look and see why it failed. All right, let's see. Where is SharePoint? Here it is. So stand by. Hold on a moment, please. I had my thing, here it is. All right. Quick key items over here. Using Teams versus regular environment can make a difference. So you saw that. You saw all the differences. Just keep that in mind as you're beginning to put the area. I forgot the bullet for the dev plan is very powerful, and your friend, that dev plan, I swear to you, you can do any premium connection. It will not stop you. Even when you're trying to do stuff in Teams, it may stop you, but that is the most powerful thing you can use. The solutions are the way to go. Hey, come back. Who told you to move forward? Previous. Reverse. Using solutions wherever, whenever is really the way to move things about. Okay. And of course, choosing your data storage now makes a huge difference about what you're going to do next. All right. If you're going to use a Dataverse, you're going to use your SharePoint, you're going to use your SQL and stuff like that. It could make that humongous difference in how that works. If you're using Teams for that work, then remember, Dataverse is actually a very, very viable choice. And when it becomes a viable choice, a lot of the decisions that you make and how things work, wow, they follow through from there. Right? Have you ever done that? Like create an app and then you did it in like SharePoint, and then you did it maybe in Excel, and just look how you edit the app and make those changes, and all of a sudden felt like you're in two different worlds. That is what I mean by making a difference. It makes a difference in maintenance and how that happens. And this is not even counting what happens in the back end, wherein there was a time when I could not have two people updating an Excel row at the same time. Thank God they fixed that. But back then that would have been an issue, right? Versus say doing it in Dataverse. SharePoint, I remember you couldn't even edit a row or have a row open, quote unquote, while you're doing it. You actually had to use Flow to get around the limitation. What a pain. Right, but something like a Dataverse or a SQL or anything else, that's never an issue. All right, let's see what we got. Okay, AMA, ask me anything. This is the time to ask a quick question. Anything that's left? Any licensing pieces? Any weirdness that you saw that you say, Ralph, that doesn't make sense to me?
Hey, Ralph, I do have a question. I'll
Yes.
ask them while we're waiting here. Is what things go through your mind when you're going through and saying, hey, I'm going to build an app, or I'm going to build a solution or a flow, or whatever the case is, and I need to have this out there and share it with people, or whatever the case is, or maybe it's just productivity. But how do you go about in tackling, I guess, your first step and your second step when it comes to that?
So the first step is I always look to see if it's been done before somewhere. And if that's a Shane video, or is that go up to the template sites? It's got to go up to the freebie app sites, flow sites, whatever. Or if I'm lucky enough to have the COE at my organization, wherein maybe there's like a repo of samples and things that are done, or maybe stuff that I've even done before. I always look to see if I could take something that I've done before and bring it in. Right. That's the first thing that I think about. It's like how much of whatever it is that I'm trying to build has been done. And can I just start from there? I rarely start from scratch if I can help it. Right. I don't use the blank canvas app and bring things in from scratch unless I'm doing a tutorial or a training. That's the only time I think I would ever really do that. So that's the first thing. And then at that point, I can decide where it's going to go. If I'm doing something very straightforward and I know for a fact, I'm not barely going to need a Dataverse, I'm just going to need a SharePoint, maybe I'll just bring it into Teams, import it in, and I'm in. That would be the case. For the most part, though, my go-to is to go to my dev environment, my dev play area, because I'm not in the Teams, and I frankly like the big boy version of the interface for when I'm adding stuff. I get a little bit annoyed when like, where is that click? I can't find that icon, drop down, whatever it is I'm looking for, or I'm trying to rearrange the form and it's like a pain because the control elements are not the same. Sometimes it's just different. Little things. They get my nerves. If you never, let's just say, did that one thing for too long and it's not yet built into you, I'd say do not get bad habits. Pick the environment and stick to it.
Sure.
Right.
Makes sense.
But then be prepared that if push comes to shove and you may have to work with somebody that maybe is not used to working in that environment, then remember you can always export the zip, give them the zip. Well, hey, I can't really show you over here. How about I give you the zip and you play?
I do like the idea of starting in your dev environment. I think that kind of keeps things a little clean on, for yourself. Where did I put that? What environment is that in? But also, you can do whatever you want in there, and then you don't have to really run into those limitations. You just have free reign. When you do exit, that space, you're going to know that you're going to run into some limitations. You may not know what those are off the top of your head right away. But when you do export, that's where, it's you're kind of leaving some of the trial and error behind too, or maybe you're just rebuilding from scratch. Even there's different ways you can do it.
This is true. Now, at this point, though, if you're still the Wild West where you're allowed to basically just move stuff around, great, more power to you. But at some point, when the governance comes into play, you'll be glad that you're learning how to do it that way. Because what's going to be taken away, the first thing is that last ability, which like, well, I want to export it and bring it somewhere else. Thou shall not pass. Right at this point, and then when they look at your stuff, they're gonna be like, "Oh wow, you are so good looking. I'm going to make you the star of my show, and I will let you pass." And all those ugly riffraff will have to stay. Yeah, basically, you'll get past the bouncer because you look good because you have an app that looks good.
I like it.
All right. Anyone else? I think I had some very good questions earlier, so I'm glad I was able to take care of those. And we had license questions earlier, too. Whoa, how about that? We are accomplishing our objectives.
Well, I was going to ask, from a licensing perspective, where do you see the biggest change? I mean, obviously the price is a difference, but how does that affect, customers that you're seeing or the organization that you're at and things of that nature? I mean, where do you see the biggest?
So here's the biggest change I'm seeing. I'm seeing that Microsoft is much more gung-ho to work with large installations and organizations. And I don't mean large as in 50,000, 100,000. I mean large as in just over 5 or just over 3. They're actually taking the time out to actually work with as that level to come up and give you that option or that option or at least that game plan to get going. They're trying to make it worth your while. In some cases, Microsoft will actually invest with you to get you going. All right, but like there's all the different partners with Microsoft have programs. So if you're working with a partner, ask what kind of programs they have with Microsoft that can help fund whatever it is you're trying to do. If this is you by yourself and you're funding yourself, And just remember, all this stuff is free. This is community stuff. Get your own dev tenant, play, get that trial going, maybe. But see, remember before, like if we were especially by ourselves, independent consultant, it's very expensive to pay that $40 a month. It was really, to me, that's the most horrible thing. I have the dev tenant, I pull $40 and I'm hardly using it because I'm not there all the time. But $20, Netflix subscription. Do I give up Netflix this week? Because Netflix right now, I started out $7. I just looked at my bill. It's freaking $19.99. When did that happen? How did it keep going up? It's like, well, okay. I'm sorry, honey. Netflix is going down next month. I'm getting Power Platform. Sorry.
It's a good trade-off.
It's a good trade-off, I tell you. I get more bang for the buck. And anyway, maybe I'll automate grabbing from wherever the Netflix movie. All right, no questions from me. Thank you. Excellent. Oh, we have some nice things to say on the chat. You're most welcome. All right. We have been going live. Raquel, are you still out there? My daughter, by the way, is a budding heavy media mogul, taking care of our streaming to YouTube right now. Yay! There we go. So there was live editing. I think any witness protection stuff, she took care of that for us, right? And there was no any. And I don't think anyone knew where we were tonight because we didn't exactly advertise what channel we were on tonight. So likely we did not get any spammy visitors. So we should be okay.
I think I saw one viewer, which is great.
That's probably Anthony over here looking and watching from himself. I didn't even put it on. I should have turned it on so I at least get 2 viewers on it. But here's the thing. It's going to be recorded and saved. Right after we stop this recording, it'll now be there for all time. And then Craig can come back and say, what the heck did I let these guys do?
No, honestly, I will be sending this to my clients. I mean, this is something that's been great. You know, the walkthrough, the overview. Sometimes it's just no, it's too scary. I'm not going to dive into it. And then it's just watching somebody else do it for, the quick moment. And then they're like, holy moly, this is actually really easy. And I can just
it is. Like, don't be scared. The Dataverse stuff, do not be scared. A lot of folks we don't understand Dataverse. We have to evaluate Dataverse. Okay, if you ever hear someone say, we have to evaluate Dataverse, and you stop them with this. Are you using Power Platform now? Yes. Do you know what Power Platform runs on? Dynamics? Yes. And underneath the covers, all that is Dataverse. The entire power, everything you saw there, every time I did an export, added the file, remember it created all those tables and did all that stuff? You know what data engine is running that? Dataverse. There's no evaluation. You're actually using the food that you're afraid to use. You've been actually, as they say, partaking. It's like, wow, I'm not going to touch that. That's human. I'm not touching that. And it's like, I think you better take that finger out of your mouth. If you're worried about, because you think it's like cannibalism or something, it's not. I was able to get cannibalism in there somehow. It's a Monty Python joke, but still, the concept is like, if you thought it was like yucky to eat, you've been eating it all this time. It's not yucky, and it's been working for you. Remember, you said, hey, that went fast. That looked great. We were able to go back and forth. That was Dataverse. You want your app to be that nice? You can too. And I get not a dime from Microsoft for saying that. Frank, I don't. That's why I'm not dressed so well. So I'm just saying. All right, that's recorded. I think we will let all the folks go. If we were here live, we'd be eating pizza right now. But that's for when we do our hybrid. And I'm thinking, I was going to tell Craig, it's like we should have like a little click here and order your own Luminati's delivered to your home and enjoy the session remotely with pizza. All right. Fernando, gracias. Oh, and he left. Adios, Fernando. All right. The leftovers, not the leftovers, the diehards. Diana, Jem, Mikey, Rihanna, thank you very much for staying. Yes, we like pizza. Good. Remember that. Keep that in mind. I'm going to say, hey, Craig, Jim likes pizza. Come on. We outnumber you.
Hey, Ralph, do you guys have any plans to go back in person anytime soon that you guys have been thinking about? Obviously, there's a little bit of a spike that's happening, but...
Yeah, we're thinking about it. We're probably at the rate it's going, it'll probably be the winter time, late winter at this point. By the time we're probably going to hit the back in person. We were hoping we were going to go hybrid, but the spike really that threw us off. we probably would have done it as soon as November.
Yep.
I tell you right now, we were thinking about it. We were very, very close.
We were
But I
planning
like
on
the
next
idea of
month.
that where we like as part of the meeting, if you join our group, maybe we should do this. If you join our group and you actually RSVP for the meeting and you actually show up, you will get a secret code to get $5 off Lou Malnati's delivered to your house. Let me think that. I got to talk to the Lou Malnati's folks to see if they need Power Platform work. I wonder if that'll work.
I feel like it could. I've done some work for some pizza companies. I feel like they're up there automating.
Might be an avenue for this. I'm just thinking.
If you think about like the Domino's of the world, I mean, they have like the bleeding edge where they have like robots delivering your stuff, or like, you know, those little
the ultimate Power Platform place. Okay, thoughts.
Yeah.
All right, folks. All right, that's it for today.
Well, thank you so much, Ralph, and everybody else.
Thank you, Anthony, for helping co-host and watching the chats and coming up with the questions. And Raquel, you can now hit the stop streaming, and we will wind down here in the green room.
All right. Thank you all for joining. Have a great day.
Thank you,
At
Raquel.
7:07, we say